everything is difficult before it becomes easy. I would keep that as an insight across all these places that you've been to, building businesses, etc. And you need to go through the pain of learning. You need to go through the pain of failure multiple times. And people view failure and success as two things, as binary 1, 0, or they put them in separate piles, or they put them in different lists. But I think the way to view it, and I can only say this looking back, I would have never said this 4 or 5 years back, is that I think there are both different types of bricks that you build a wall with, right? So there are successes and failures, and some successes. There are more failures than successes, I can tell you that for sure. And I think a lot of people feel when they look at something, or they look at a trajectory or anybody's career, they say, it looks like you were on an elevator or an escalator to success. And that's not really true about anyone. There is a hell of a lot of failure, daily failure, weekly failure, monthly failure. And I think that would also be a misconception. So there is a lot of difficulty that you go through. And if you're not going through difficulty, that means you're missing something. If things are too easy, that means you're not challenging yourself or getting outside your comfort zone. So you need to really figure out how you can push yourself. The second related misconception to this is, again, people take a very 1-0 approach of, let's say, scaling, right? You talked about scaling and scaling businesses. There's some people, most people say, at different parts of the scaling journey, you need different people or different leaders. And I think you see this often in the stages of a company, where you have the VCs come in and say, okay, now this person was good for the beginning, but now they need adult supervision, right? That's the most common thing, and they would put in an adult supervisor, and we all know how that goes, right? That ends very badly, because the teenager has to be let go, and then the adult supervision stays, and then something goes wrong, and you can see it with the smallest of companies which go bust to the biggest of companies, like an Apple or a cycle that goes there. And I think what I've seen in some of the really great companies, and I think, Guru, you can probably talk about this more than I can, because you've seen the full scale up of your company, is that yes, you need different leaders, but that different leader can be the same person. And the entrepreneur or the founder, the head of the organization, it's important for them to keep reinventing themselves, or getting the right inputs, or getting the right coaching, having the right mechanisms to get the right feedback, so that they can grow. And it is totally possible that the same person can run a 0 to 1 and can be running a multi-billion-dollar organization. And this comes from skill stack, right? And I've seen really good founders in their journeys. And if I look at some of them, having worked with them or spoken to them over the years, the person who they were the first time when you wrote the first check in them, and the person who they are when people are writing multi-million-dollar checks, or sometimes even $1 billion check in them, completely different people. They've grown a lot over time. So I think this misconception of they can take it only so far and they can't take it, or this person is only good for 0 to 1 and this person is 100 to 1,000, is a misconception. I do think that at the tail ends of the spectrum, this may be true, that so a 0 to 1 versus someone who runs a $10 billion company or a $100 billion company may be different. So you need to grow through that operational width, and sometimes you need to realize what you're good at and what you're not good at, right? So you outsource it, or you get the right people, and that's one of the things, I think, coming back to the earlier question you asked, Guru, is how can you do so many things over a period of time? You figure out what you're not good at, you somehow retain them, but you get the right people to run them. So optically you may be still running them or still doing those jobs, but in reality you've got much better operators running that stuff, and then you learn a new skill and you're able to add value at the right spots.